I cringed, my shoulders creeping up to my ears. By the time my massage appointment came around, I was in desperate need of one. I stretched out on the table and closed my eyes, preparing to take a catnap to get through the long night ahead. I loved dressing up and looking pretty as much as the next girl, but charity functions were a lot of work. Making small talk was exhausting, smiling nonstop was a pain, and conversations about businesses and people I didn't know were boring. If it wasn't for Carrie benefiting from the exposure, I'd put up a bigger fight about going. I sighed. Who was I fooling? I'd end up going anyway. My mom and Stanton supported abused children's charities because they were significant to me. Going to the occasional stuffy event was a small price to pay for the return. Taking a deep breath, I consciously relaxed. I made a mental note to call my dad when I got home and thought about how to send a thank you note to Gideon for the hangover cure. I supposed I could email him using the contact info on his business card, but that lacked class. Besides, I didn't know who read his inbox. I'd just call him when I got home. Why not? He'd asked. No. Told me to. He'd written the demand on his business card, and I'd get to hear his luscious voice again. The door opened and the masseuse came in. Hello, Eva. You ready? Not quite. But I was getting there. After many lovely hours at the spa, my mom and Carrie dropped me off at the apartment. Then they headed out to hunt for new cuff links for Stanton. I used the time alone to call Gideon. Even with the much needed privacy, I punched most of his phone number into the keypad a half dozen times before I finally put the call through. He answered on the first ring. Eva. Startled that he'd known who was calling, my mind scrambled for a moment. How did he have my name and number in his contact list? Hi. Gideon. I'm a block away. Let the front desk know I'm coming. What? I felt like I'd missed part of the conversation. Coming where? To your place. I'm rounding the corner now. Call the desk, Eva. He hung up and I stared at the phone, trying to absorb the fact that Gideon was moments away from being with me again. Somewhat dazed, I went to the intercom and talked to the front desk, letting them know I was expecting him, and while I was talking, he walked into the lobby. A few moments after that, he was at my door. It was then that I remembered I was dressed in only a thigh-length silk robe, and my face and hair were styled for the dinner. What kind of impression would he get from my appearance? I tightened the belt of my robe before I let him in. It wasn't like I'd invited him over for a seduction or anything. Gideon stood in the hallway for a long moment, his gaze raking me from my head down to my French manicured toes. I was equally stunned by his appearance. The way he looked in worn jeans and a t-shirt made me want to undress him with my teeth. Worth the trip to find you like this, Eva. He stepped inside and locked the door behind him. How are you feeling? Good. Thanks to you. Thank you. My stomach quivered because he was here with me, which made me feel almost giddy. That can't be why you came over. I'm here because it took you too long to call me. I didn't realize I had a deadline. I have to ask you something time sensitive, but more than that, I wanted to know if you were feeling all right after last night. His eyes were dark as they swept over me, his breathtaking face framed by that luxurious curtain of inky hair. God, you look beautiful, Eva. I can't remember ever wanting anything this much.